I call to order the Adrian City Commission meeting for September 15th, 2025. If everyone would please rise for a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor Heath,
Present.
Commissioner Roberts,
Present.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Present.
Commissioner Banky,
Present.
Commissioner Miller,
Present.
Commissioner Castleberry,
Present.
Commissioner Gauss,
Present.
all commissioner members present.
May I get a motion to approve the agenda with an amendment to table information discussion topics D, Town Square update? So moved.
Support.
I have a motion from Commissioner Castleberry with a second from Commissioner Banky and Miller. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Roberts,
No.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Yes.
Commissioner Banky,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Castleberry,
Yes.
Commissioner Gauss,
Yes.
Mayor Heath,
Yes.
motion carried.
At this time, we will have public comment regarding items on the agenda. Just to reiterate, there is a 3-minute time limit. And for the record, please state your name and place of residence. Once we have exhausted all comment inside the chambers, we will then open it up to the Zoom participants. We will begin now.
Hi, good evening. Carrie Smith, City of Adrian resident. I saw point of sale on the agenda tonight, so I wanted to take some time to address some of the experiences and feedback that we've received. As the manager of a local title company, I continue to see issues with the point of sale ordinance, specifically its implementation and enforcement. And I wanted to share some things tonight that have come up from recent real estate closings that shine a light on the shortcomings of this ordinance. We recently had a transaction that was a for sale by owner, meaning no real estate agents were representing the buyer or seller. The day of closing came, and we as the title company realized that a point of sale inspection had not been done. The buyer and seller had no idea this ordinance even existed until they showed up to closing. We called Sherry, and thankfully, she was able to do a same-day inspection in the rain, thank you, and issue a certificate. However, this puts the title company in the position to inform buyers and sellers of this ordinance and enforce the inspection process. We should not be responsible for either, yet we could still face potential liability if a buyer or seller experiences an unfavorable outcome after closing as a result. On another property, the point of sale inspection showed multiple items needing addressed, with 3 repairs to be completed within 6 months, 1 repair within 4 months, 1 repair within 3 months, 1 repair within 2 months, and 2 repairs within 1 month, all the same property. So if this goes into effect, does that mean that potentially there could be 5 reinspection fees for this property? Is it the best use of city manpower and resources to send someone to a property 4 to 8 times to reinspect? And if you're looking to impact blight, why are we giving people 2 months to mow and remove weeds? Couldn't the city just mow it and issue an invoice within that time frame? I also had a resident reach out to me to let me know that they had to make significant repairs because of a point of sale inspection, and the deadline for the completed repairs was May 30th. They stated that no one from the city has been out to reinspect or follow up to ensure the repairs were completed, even though the deadline was over 3 months ago. So the issue is the same as it always was. There is an enforcement issue. The current POS process is messy, vague, inconsistent, and costly to buyers and sellers. I have witnessed firsthand sellers lose thousands of dollars in equity over these deals as the outcome of these inspections. For those reasons and many others, I encourage all residents to vote yes to repeal the point of sale ordinance on November 4th and find another way to make our community beautiful. Thank you.
Good evening, Commissioners. Carol Bolton, Adrian, Michigan. I'm here to talk about the Civil War Monument Park and Monument Park. The Civil War Monument in Monument Park stands as a testament to the sacrifices made by generations past and has long been a focal point for community reflection, education, and remembrance. Recently, however, a decision by the city to prohibit the placement of commemorative bricks at the base of the monument, bricks that were sold by the Civil War Monument Restoration Committee with the promise of placement, has caused considerable concern. There are multifaceted detriments arising from such a determination, such as the impact on donors, the integrity of community heritage projects, and a broader relationship between the city and its citizens. The committee met with representatives from the city on a number of occasions with minutes from those meetings. Based on those meetings, the committee reasonably acted on reliance and assurance to those who purchased bricks and launched a bricks campaign as part of their efforts to restore and enhance the Monument Park's most iconic and central memorial. The program was designed not only to raise funds, but also to deepen public engagement with the monument's legacy. Donors were invited to purchase bricks engraved with names, dates, and personal tributes, with the express assurance that these bricks would form part of the monument's base, a symbolic foundation both literally and metaphorically. The campaign met with widespread public support. Families, veterans groups, local businesses, and history enthusiasts contributed, eager to participate in a tangible act of commemoration. Each brick represented an individual story, a connection to the past, and a vote of confidence in the shared future of the park and its monument. The city's decision to prohibit the placement of these bricks at the monument space, regardless of the committee's good faith in selling them, had immediate and far-reaching consequences. The city also helped with the fundraising effort by placing the order form on the website, making it available for anyone to purchase the bricks after visiting the site. In addition, the city also helped with uplighting on the monument and electrical plugs in the park. The city's reversal cast doubt on the city's credibility, potentially jeopardizing future fundraising and volunteer efforts. The leadership of the city has broken their word. Donors who contributed funds with the expectation that their brick would be placed at the base of the monument now experience disappointment, frustration, and a sense of betrayal. Their emotional investment was significant, as well as their financial one, and the decision undermines their goodwill. The bricks were meant to serve as a living patchwork of community memory. Thank you.
My name is Dave Loop. I am a resident of Adrian. The detriment of the city's decision extending beyond immediate disappointment. Its long-term impact on a community trust, heritage preservation, and civic engagement is substantial. Public-private projects thrive on trust. When citizens contribute to a cause, especially one rooted in history and collective memory, they must believe that their investment will be honored. The city's determination undermines this trust, causing skepticism towards future initiatives. Residents may hesitate to donate, volunteer, or participate in campaigns, fearing bureaucracy, reversal, or unfiltered promises. Damages to the heritage preservation effort. Monuments and parks serve as anchor of a community history. Restoration and enhancement projects are opportunities strengthening bonds between generations. The exclusion of donor bricks from the Civil War Monument is a base risk alienating those who care most about the preservation and may discourage future support for heritage projects across the city. The Restoration Committee rule relies on goodwill, volunteerism, and the public support. By contradicting their assurances, the city inadvertently dismisses the authority and ability to cultivate the community buy-in. This can have a chilling effect on grassroots initiatives as faith in community leadership and project transparency erodes. If the city department goes unaddressed, it may set a harmful precedent. Other organizations may face similar challenges as citizens may grow weary of contributing to public works. The ripple effect could stall, derail, import community projects, weaken the social fabric that binds residents together. And I see I have 43 seconds to go. Good, 42 seconds. On putting various things up at the park up there, as a few of you may know, that I am very much involved with what has gone on at the Monument Park up there, being obviously a veteran an American Legion member here in town for 29 years. It's the fact that a lot of those monuments that were put up there were raised with people donating. The Vietnam Monument especially, which was in my time, as well as the, what we call the Freedom Monument up in the corner. We put a lot of time and effort in, and I see my buzzer's going off,
Yes,
so I will get down or the mayor's gonna yell at me.
Hello, I'm Nancy Patton, and I am from Addison, Michigan. Beyond emotional and symbolic issues, and I'm talking about the Civil War Monument, there are significant legal and ethical factors to consider. Potential for breach of contract claims. Donors who purchase bricks with the explicit assurance of placement at the monument's base may have grounds for legal recourse. The city could be exposed to claims of breach of contract or misrepresentation, risking litigation and further reputational harm. Ethical responsibilities. Both the committee and the city have an ethical obligation to act with transparency and honor commitments made in good faith. Reneging on public promises undermines the moral standards expected of community leaders and institutions. For many donors, an inscribed brick at the monument's base would have a lasting legacy, a way to connect the family story to the broader narrative of the Civil War, other wars, and the city's history. Denying this opportunity is a loss that cannot easily be quantified or remedied. The brick campaign was as much about participation as it was about commemoration. The collective act of supporting and enhancing the monument fostered a series of shared purpose. The city's determination risks fragmenting that spirit, replacing optimism with disillusionment. Thank you.
Marilyn Smith, and I am an Adrian resident. For the recommendation and the path forward for the monument, addressing the harm caused by the city's decision requires thoughtful actions and transparent communication. Several steps could help restore the trust and relieve harm. One is open dialogue. The city should engage with the Monument Committee, donors, and other stakeholders to explain its decision and consider reversing it to allow the bricks to be placed at the base of the monument, creating a stronger civic support system. 2, examining compromises. If placement at the monument base is no longer feasible, the city might consider creating a designated area within the monument park for these bricks, preserving their meaning and honoring donor intent. 3 would be public apology and assertion. The formal acknowledgement of the disappointment and discuss cause, coupled by assurance for the future for the future, can be rebuilt with goodwill. Review of policies. The city should examine its procedure for approving public from foundation campaign to prevent similar issues in the future. And in conclusion, the city's decision not to allow these bricks sold in good faith by the Civil War Monument Restoration Committee to be placed at the monument is profound and far-reaching. It impacts individuals, families, the community organizations, and the preservation of local history. These are the people and the donors that are being impacted. 76% of all of the bricks are honoring and naming veterans. And also, it's all these people who are disappointed and you're destroying their trust. Addressing these impacts is not simply a matter of policy. It's restoring faith, honoring commitments, and affirming the city's decision to its heritage and its people. Thank you.
Tom Fallhaber, 419 Budlong Street. I'm one of the donors of this project. I've known KZ for many years. We're very different politically, but we get along great. We're a good example of that. And I don't see the problem with the whole thing. I understand it's kind of a sensitive issue with the veterans. I'm not a veteran. I love this city. I love the country. And I love the veterans. I have a lot of respect for the veterans. I have friends that were veterans that went to Vietnam. And I know that that's not an easy thing to go through. It wasn't an easy thing to go through. I just feel like, based on my experiences as a volunteer in the city, I'm not sure she's gotten the appreciation for what she's trying to do. And this is discouraging people from wanting to volunteer here, given the fiscal restraints we face today in this city and others around this state and beyond. Just somebody wants to do something. It's a $15,000 project. The city's saving money. That thing needs cleaning. And she's trying to do that. And I think you said about 57% of the donors are veterans, or maybe it's more than that now. And I kind of struck a wrong there with me, because in 2011, I started a tree planting group in this city called Maple City Relief. We planted over 400 trees in the city, and the support from the city started out really good. After about 3 or 4 years of support from the city just went away. And the last time I planted trees, I did it by myself. I hauled 20-some trees with the permission of the city. Planted them myself, 20-some trees on College Avenue and Sherman Street. After that, I said, this COVID stuff happened, and I just never picked it up again. I went with it because I didn't feel like I never got any appreciation for it. I didn't do it to get a pat on the back, but I'd like to at least got some support from the city, because I care. And since I quit planting trees here, there's very few being planted here. Our canopy level in the city is below the national average, and we're the Maple City. That's not acceptable to me. But I'm not about to go back to it again. I'm 73 years old, but I can still plant trees with the best of them. I did it last year, a lot of them, heavy ones. And so I'd like to, but anyway, I just don't see why this can't be somehow worked out to put these bricks in Monument Park. Thank you.
Keith Miller, City of Adrian. I agree. these poor people right here, they went out and they found a need for something and they went out and they did it on their own. To get bricks, sell them. They wouldn't have had to have done that, and I've said this 20, 30 times, if the city would have stepped up 20 years ago and cleaned the monument like they should have, or took care of the park like they should have. I mean, they got the money, they just didn't do the job. So these people stepped up. They took the initiative to do it. So if you don't want them to put the bricks around the monument, how about putting the bricks in all four corners of inside the park, inside the sidewalk? Put so many on this corner, you know, in all four corners of it, and that way the bricks are there. These people paid their hard-earned money for it. Let them have their just desert. Another thing is, I don't think we need another dispensary getting another license or growers getting another. We have so many of them here in this town already. And by flooding the market, you're not getting any more tax money. Because now every one of these shops or retailers, dispensaries, whatever you want to call them, dope houses, every one of them has to lower their price so they can compete with the next one. So when they lower the price to compete with the next one, they're selling the same amount of product, but you guys are getting less tax money because the price of the product just went down. So what good does it do to give somebody another license? You're just giving somebody a business opportunity so they can make a few bucks, but you're getting the same tax money. Because somewhere down the line, it's going to cut somebody else's throat. Thank you.
Hearing no more public comment inside the chambers, we will now open it up to the Zoom participants regarding items on the agenda. You will see your time limit on the screen. Hearing no public comment, we are going to go on to proclamations. Today begins Hispanic Heritage Month, and so I'm going to read a proclamation. This will be displayed outside the mayor's office on an easel outside there for Hispanic Heritage Month. Whereas in September 1968, Congress authorized Lyndon B. Johnson to proclaim Hispanic Heritage Week. And whereas in 1988, the observance was expanded to a month-long event, which begins each year on September 15th, the anniversary of independence of 5 Latin American countries: Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. And whereas Mexico and Chile celebrate their Independence Days on September 16th and September 18th, respectively. And whereas Hispanic Americans are a spirited culture with a growing influence in the arts, sciences, business, and government, and recognized in the Adrian community as well as the state for their leadership and participation. And whereas Hispanic people have long played an important role in the history of the city of Adrian and have equally contributed to the strength of the nation as a whole. And whereas migrant farm workers are a crucial part of our local economy and their contributions to our community are recognized and valued. And whereas the Hispanic community contributions to the standard of life in the city of Adrian merit this occasion, and it is hoped that this celebration will instill unity, a sense of community pride, and togetherness in our citizens. Now therefore I, Angela Sword-Heath, Mayor of the City of Adrian, do hereby proclaim September 15th through October 15th, 2025 as Hispanic Heritage Month, and call upon all local businesses, clubs, and community members to effectively utilize Hispanic human resources and to work in partnership with the Hispanic community for the advantage it will bring to all involved. And then I've been asked to not read this one because he spied and found out about it and he wasn't supposed to know, but he is a police chief, so I guess that's why. It was on my spot, turned over as a surprise, but he already spotted and asked me if there was any amount of money for me not to read it, and I said no. Just being honest. We are going to honor, since this is our acting city administrator's last meeting with us as acting city administrator, Police Chief Emmerich. Whereas City of Adrian employees have always worked together as a true team. And whereas Chief Vincent Emmerich of the Adrian Police Department has stepped forward on several occasions without hesitation to lead our team. And whereas Chief Emmerich's leadership, experience, and expertise has guided commissioners and staff each time he has filled the role of acting city administrator. And whereas the commitment to the city of Adrian that Chief Emmerich has demonstrated is noteworthy and appreciated. Now, therefore, I, Angela Sword Heath, Mayor of the City of Adrian, Michigan, along with the entire City Commission, do hereby thank Vincent Chief Emmerich for his leadership and his commitment to Adrian. And I want to present this and have everybody, if you would love to clap, we would appreciate that. And appreciate it. I didn't make him stand up because I knew then he'd be really upset if I put him up front. So I tried to soften the blow a little bit. So, but we do greatly, greatly appreciate you stepping into this role, and you have filled those shoes so wonderfully, and we are just very grateful and thankful for all that you have done for the city of Adrian. You go above and beyond all the time, and it is not just noticed by us, it is also noticed by community members, as you have now been nominated. Well, you won the award, but he will be honored at the NAACP Freedom Fund banquet in a few weeks for all of the efforts and all of the great things that he has done for the city of Adrian. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners, for all of your support and confidence. Glad to help, and I'll certainly be here as Administrator Ball makes that transition. Thank you.
Moving on to our informational discussion topics, we're going to begin with the Bone Pool update. So our Parks and Recreation Director, Jeremiah Davies, will now present.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. Yeah, so last week or 2 weeks ago, when I came to you, it was to discuss the leak that we had found at the end of the season. And I should have prefaced my statement with, like I said the last time, I want to praise our staff across multiple departments, our Utilities Director, Will Sadler, Eric Kelly, Matt Tomaszewski, and a few others within our own department for really coming together and kind of leading this investigation. At the 11th hour, the night before, I got a text from Will Sadler saying, I have a company out of Ohio. This is kind of a last-ditch effort to kind of come in and help us before we moved into digging and tearing up the ground on the outside of Bone Pool there. A company called Fluid Loss Prevention came in, and they used, this was a first for me, ultrasonic detection and computer correlation equipment. So some really cool high-tech equipment this gentleman came in with and started going through the area where we suspected the leak to be. And much to our surprise, he found it, which was really exciting. With that, what it turned out to be was a small service line underneath. It's used for priming the pump to the slide and also just water access on that side. However, as part of that investigation, we knew that we had other leaks elsewhere. And so utilities came in, they capped that line. It's just a temporary fix. But that investigation also led to another leak right around the surge pit, which is the large pit underneath the boiler room, which is just a little bit smaller than this room. It's about 12 feet deep. So we continued to investigate. We brought in plumbers. We brought in, again, our utilities department, multiple employees kind of coming together and working towards this. Still could not find the leak. And then just to make matters worse, simultaneously, and you're going to see in this picture, the 14-inch return line cracked underneath. So if you look at that picture on the left-hand side there, that is the original plumbing from 1971. It burst. It's not an easy fix. The entire thing needs pulled out, but to temporarily fix it, right? And we discussed the hopes of wanting to open next year and for a few more years before the discussion to move in towards that phase 3. What we got today was roughly 8 to 10K, and that's on the low end, and that's if everything worked perfectly. Part Part of the discussion was the fixtures that are down there that you see that are pictured there are so outdated, you can't get equipment now to attach. So it would be just a retrofit. It would be multiple people trying to come together to place equipment that it no longer is designed for the equipment at the bottom of Bone Pool. So it really puts us in kind of a pickle. And as you see on that last one, just to add injury to insult, that last week, the slide pump also blew. It's over 15 years old. It was rebuilt in 2019. And so for a new slide pump, that's roughly 6,000 to 8,000 as is. So bringing one problem and it's just leading to another. And at this point, we're really starting to chase our tail. Again, a perfect scenario this week would be if we were able to get down in there, address that line. And again, if you can see the picture there, that is a 50-year-old 14-inch water main, right? And that goes underneath the pool. There's no way we could access the full scope of it. This is just the part that is 10 feet underground in the surge pit where we climb down there with a ladder. So as part of the broader picture, kind of what I'm looking for tonight is, I know I brought to you last week, wanting to address one single water line. That water line's been fixed. However, we have larger problems. And so really want to discuss with you the threshold. This is more exploratory fixing and trying to retrofit some of this stuff in the hopes that we could do it in order for us just to stay open a few more years before we moved into a full retrofitting of the pool. So I wanted to open up to discussion and answer any questions you have regarding what our next steps could potentially be.
Jeremiah, with these fixes, do you believe we'll be able to open the pool next summer?
I don't know, because from what I've discovered now that this is 4 years here, we're messing with Bone Pool. We literally fix one thing and something breaks, right? I would like to say that probably a couple of years, I probably would have said that. But at this point, I would say the odds are something else is going to go, right? This was completely, so that pipe and that water you see spewing, that happened early this morning, right? That was not on our radar as of yesterday or the weekend. Like I've said before, the liner is so past its life expectancy. It's bulging so bad. So we could do all this. And then when we go to open in the spring, that liner could easily be ripped off the wall. I mean, there's nothing at this point we can do but kind of keep our fingers crossed. So again, I'll use the term, this is a perfect case scenario, right? We could do these potential fixes. Again, this is, we're retrofitting. We're not even guaranteed that the parts that could be brought in would even fit. So I would say odds are probably not. I would hope, but I can't make that assertion.
And Jeremiah, from a professional end of things, what is the average life expectancy of a pool?
That all depends. 15, 20 years. And so, as I've kind of mentioned before, this pool is 54 years old. It's sustained this long because of our staff and because of the work and because of the maintenance that's done year in and year out. The trend is that municipal pools are kind of a dying breed. And I say that not because I want to close the pool. I love Bone Pool. I grew up there. But I'm just laying out the facts. This is where we're at. And so, again, we're well past its life expectancy. That's why when I say we're chasing our tail, we're chasing our tail. We fixed one thing the other day and now this explodes. We could fix this. And again, I could go down there tomorrow morning, the liner could have finally given way. I mean, that's where we're at.
And the maintenance that has been done by city staff over the years has taken a pool that's now 15 years past its life expectancy and has kept it on ICU, I guess, for lack of a better term. Correct. So the only way moving forward is we're past the point of fixing one little thing after another because they're just coming at us too fast.
Correct.
Good, thank you.
Jeremiah, what's the cost of a new splash pad?
So so we only have one here in the city, but the one, just to give you an example, at Parish Park, that was 130,000.
That whole pad was just 130,000.
Yes.
And the primary use of Bone Pool is wave runners, from what I get.
Wave runners do occupy it quite a bit, but it is open to the general public. It is used by not only city residents, but outside residents from the county as well. It's just a place to cool off and have parties and things of that
Yeah,
nature.
I understand that, but I think from the last conversation we had is that the use has just diminished and diminished and diminished.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
And to follow up on the Wave Runners question, so Wave Runners is part of the Y?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And they had an opportunity to build a pool a few years back, and it didn't include a lap pool.
Correct.
So they use, if I am still correct, the Adrian High School pool and our city pool, and the Y team doesn't use the YMCA pool.
Correct. The new pool out at the new YMCA is more of a rehab pool, so there's zero chances for you to swim in it. It's about probably the size of this room right here, that pool. So
how
more of a rehab pool.
Last I recall, there was no charge or minimal charge at the high school. But how much do we charge the Wave Runners?
I have that for you. So with their actual usage, it was $6,300 that we collected from them.
And how much does it cost us to run and manage a pool?
So we still have a couple of remaining fees out there that we have to collect, but as of this morning, I feel like I have about 90% of all the information from a revenue standpoint and from an expense standpoint. We're in the red about $90,000.
So and I know we're not the Wave Runners pool by its entirety, but we do have a large focus on that, and $6,500 for operating a pool that you don't own and you assume no maintenance of, I think is a pretty darn good deal. And when I look at use of our citizens, compared with Parish Park and that cost benefit, I think Commissioner Schwartz is on to something with those comparisons.
Jeremiah, do you know how many children learned how to swim this summer?
Let me see here. It was well over 100. So just to give you perspective, I don't have that number in front of me. But to give you some perspective, I want to say it was roughly, I could easily find that number and get it to you. I want to say about 130.
So my concern, and a concern that was brought to me by a local business owner this morning, was that we are a community surrounded by a river and lakes. Children in this community, unless they can afford the center, are not exposed to swim lessons, to swimming now until 9th grade at Adrian High School. Madison does not have one. Tecumseh no longer has a pool. Is there any civil, I'm drawing a blank on the word, but we should be able to provide swim lessons for our children? Maybe other people don't, but feel that way. But I know that there are people in the community who do feel that way, that this is so important, because children could die if they don't know how to swim. And it's very concerning to me. Do I want to spend all this money on the pool? No. I would really like to look at options. And yes, I understand we may need to close the pool for a couple of years, but I do not want this conversation to go away. There has to be people in the community, businesses, all of the school systems, including, you know, Adrian High School, Adrian College, whoever. If we can get together, I think we can come up with a plan to have, maybe not bone pool. Maybe it's not even an outdoor pool. But to have a plan to have children have access so they can learn to swim.
You know, Jeremiah was thinking about, you said there was 100 kids that learned how to swim.
I think it was about 130 off the top of my head.
130
yeah.
kids that learned how to swim. And while that's important, during the day, how much use, and you, I don't know if you remember when you were at the high school, how many hours a day is that pool used during the day?
You talk bone pool, the current usage?
No, I'm talking
Oh,
about
the
the
high
high
school?
school, yes.
Not a whole lot, unless there was a gym class going on, but it's usually, if I recall, the swim team would be in there early in the morning, and then obviously mainly after school is when it really picked up. I do know there was some occasional gym classes and things like that that went on during the day, but I don't believe it.
And then we had that public partnership with the pool and the city, and not to the pool, the city and the Adrian Public Schools.
Yep.
And I think, and I'm going to be honest, when I learned to swim, they bussed us over to Bone Pool from the school. So I don't know if a dialogue working with Mr. Parker or whomever is in charge of the pool could take place with the school and see if they could transport the younger students into that area for swimming, because we used to have 3 pools. Drager had a pool, Springbrook had a pool, the high school had a pool, and there was Bone Pool. The cost of pools are just immense, and we really have to be frugal based on this year's budget with what we're going to do.
Jeremiah, can you remind me what we're investing right now in Bone Pool to fix the structures such as the locker room, et cetera?
So this year, so this phased approach, we're into phase 2 right now. By October 1st, we'll be done with phase 2. With this year and last year, we're at $500,000, just shy of that.
So between our investment in chairs, et cetera, last year and then phase 2 this year, we've spent about $500,000.
So phase 1, 2 years ago was, if you remember, we had to put a brand new pump, boiler, new furniture, a pool vacuum, things of that nature. That ran us about $90,000. This year, phase 2 was actually focused on the structure itself. So a ton of bringing us up to ADA compliance, a ton of plumbing issues, electrical, put a brand new roof on. So really focusing on the structure itself, because obviously, again, and I sound like a broken record, but it's over 50 years old. So it was really starting to.
So when you discuss structure, just to be clear for everyone, we're talking about the building where you walk in, where the
House,
press-
correct.
Okay, all
Yep.
right. And that will all be done in October. So
Yes.
it's not like we can recoup that money or get that back or anything like
Correct.
that. or
We've already
stop
put the,
it.
we've already
It's
put the
done.
roof on, and we've done a number of upgrades already, and they'll be done here in a few weeks.
So the question today is, should we continue to invest in these cracks, breaks, leaks? Or should we take a step back and decide, are we going to move forward with the pool? Are we going to build another pool? You know, that 3 to 4 million that we talked about at our last meeting. Are there other options to maybe not create the same type of pool that we have, but maybe make a splash pad and, you know, some lane swimming, kind of downsize it a bit? To still be able to teach the swimming lessons, have the swim team, have a splash pad, et cetera, to make that, to help make, you know, make sure our community has a pool, learns to swim, things like that. Are there other possibilities or potentials that we haven't looked at? Because when we were deciding, we had other, you know, we had this discussion like 4 years ago, 5 years, like
Yeah.
you know, are there other ideas of what we could downsize it a wee bit and still keep a place
Look-
for kids to go get
Sorry.
wet, cool off, swim?
And to piggyback before you answer that, because that's where I was going to. Because the lot of community members have reached out to me since the last discussion, and that's literally what they're saying. If you've already put the money into this building, why can't you do like a splash pad, do a smaller pool that so we can still offer swim lessons? That these were things that were definitely brought up. And I guess as we look, as you're bringing this up, we don't even know if we could open the pool next year, and we ran at a loss of 90,000. That's almost building a splash pad. So maybe the pool is closed temporarily while it gets rebuilt much smaller, but maybe it's something where we can get the splash pad up and going, because that's literally almost the same cost as we've been losing every year on the pool. I don't know, just to throw that into.
Nope. So to your point, so again, when we started this conversation 4 years ago, it led us to the big number, right? We balked at it. So the very next, what we did is we looked at, and so when we're talking that 3.5, and I'm going to say, to be conservative, $5 million was literally just to replace the Bone Pool footprint. We're not adding any. So we did a big community survey. And I understand this, but one of the requests were like lazy rivers, things of that nature. That's when you're talking 12, 13, 14, $15 million just to replace the actual footprint and essentially keep Bone Pool as is. We're looking at that with that figure I gave a couple of years ago, that $4.5 to $5 million when it's all said and done. Our best estimate off current cost 2 years ago. So could we address? Absolutely, we could. We could go to, we're still working with the collaborative. They're still on retainer with us. They're the design firm, so they're the ones that would say, okay, if this is what you want, they could shrink it down and address swim lessons, things of that nature. So, but it's up to you really then at this point to make that decision and say, that's the route we want to go. And then we can obviously do that.
Would that alleviate some of the cost, or would it maybe be the same, or?
I'd
I-
have to
and I
ask,
think-
I'll be
yeah.
honest with you, where we're at again. We're talking about, like, you look at that picture, we're looking at the plumbing from 1970, like
Mhm.
the entire pool, if you're thinking long-term, has to be gutted. You're not
Yeah.
going to get away with that without doing that for at least a couple $1 million, because that whole site has to be completely gutted. And then you could put a new pool in and shrink it down. But I still think, from working on this for 4 years now, that you're going to be close to the same.
Okay.
So
And I want to make one more point, kind of piggybacking on Mary. And I said it then, I learned to swim at Bone Pool. I pulled Larry Richardson out of the dive well at 14 years old because I was taking classes to be a lifeguard. That was a lot of work. He, and he fought me the whole time. I was on the first wave runners team. It led to me being a first-class naval swimmer, right? I learned a lot there, but I also think beyond swimming lessons, it is a place for kids to go in the summer, and it keeps them out of trouble. Idle minds, idle hands make trouble, right? So I want to make sure that we think about what will our kids do in the summertime. And I know that that number is dwindling, but I think redoing the structure of the pool house, et cetera, also creates a more marketable and inviting place for them to go. That was pretty outdated and pretty rough. And in redoing those structures, I think we may get more kids to come down. So I want to make sure that we consider what our kids going to do and what comes from us closing that pool to the kids in this community.
I just think when we're talking uncertainty, and this is just me, whenever I do plumbing, one thing breaks and another thing I have to go back to the store, get more plumbing parts, fixture parts. And are you speculating that even if we get this fixed, we're going to have more problems next year, the following year, and the year after that, as kind of the mayor and was talking about how much?
I would say yes. I mean, it's common sense. We've been doing this for so long. And this is, like I said, for the last 4 years that I've been with the city now, this is almost a daily occurrence. And we're finding more and more and more things that are falling apart. And like I said, the current problem as of this morning, right now, there's not even a part to go there. So, right. So we had Damon Gutierrez from A1 Drain, who's done a ton of good work for us. We also brought in Northwest Pools, who's a pool contractor. This is stuff they do. The piece that they sent us was, in their estimation, the closest piece. It's not an actual problem solver to this. This is just, they're going, okay, here's what you could use, but you're going to have to bring someone in to try to retrofit this. So we could spend $10,000 and it do absolutely nothing. We don't know that. And so even the contractors are starting to tell us, we're not so sure that we even want to take on some of these minor things because they can't guarantee it. So that was a conversation that happened at 3:30 this afternoon. Jeremiah, with the structure, is now 50-year-old, so the structure that's in there, with that's in there with it's all around. So that makes sense in terms of pricing and everything. So there, smaller pool or any variation requires us to extract all of the existing pool out and all of the plumbing and demo that completely, right? Correct.
And last time I checked, when we worked and demoed and had to remove the bottom of the pool of Adrian High School and touch every surface in there, it was about $8 million. So just to remove the existing pool before we even start on a project, or if we do say, oh, we only want a splash pad and we're going to close bone pool and we're going to create another pool in a different location, we have extensive deconstruction that needs to take place, filling the hole, meeting environmental standards with Eagle. So, because you just don't
Correct.
cut a hole in the bottom and fill it in with dirt and
Correct.
leave the remains there. Okay, that's one of my concerns, that we have a long-term liability with that. Similar to what Commissioner Castleberry said, but with the investment that we put into the existing structure, there's nothing to say that we can't use that structure and then create a splash pad that has changing rooms or other access there as well. Or if we were to install pickleball courts or other recreation things in that park, that then there could be restrooms or changing facilities associated with that as well from the renovation that took place.
Correct.
And is there, so I've looked up here on the YMCA website, and I recently served on a grant review committee where the YMCA submitted grants to teach swimming to youth in our community. And they currently do teach swimming to youth in our community at a rather large scale based on the data that I reviewed in the grant process. So thinking about the scenario that the wave runners use, where they pay us $8,000 a year to use our pool, how about we make a proposal to pay them $8,000 a year to teach swimming lessons to our kids and have it work the other direction too? Or as Commissioner Schwartz said, cooperate with the high school and create, continue that strong partnership that's in place there for those off hours. My understanding was that there was going to be middle school classes going to the high school to swim with the closure of the high school pool, but I'm not sure where that's been the last 3 years of my retirement.
Jeremiah, just, and I know you don't have the exact answers to this, but hypothetically, well, first of all, how long would it take the collaborative to design a smaller pool that could take the replace or could replace eventually the bone pool? Do you have any idea?
It'd probably take them a couple of months because they're pretty busy. So to give you some perspective, in regards to what was kind of on the docket, talking about a phase 3, and if we had continued on with the plan from a few years ago, is so they've essentially designed it. However, now they would have to go to specific pool contractors to design and write the actual pool specs for construction companies. And that is a lengthy process. So they essentially have a design, which is essentially the current layout with just a small couple adjustments. We were hoping to bid this out, if that was where we were going to go with this, probably late winter, early spring sometime. So I could reach out to the collaborative. It'd probably be 2 months before they could even present drawings because they're extremely busy.
Okay, well, where I'm going with this thing, and I think all the questions have been really good, and it's going to be a very difficult decision, whatever. But where I'm going is, would it be possible to, by next spring, build or early in the spring, do a splash pad? Assume we're not going to have a swim season next year at the pool. And during that time, and again, the construction, we have to, there's a cost and, demolition of the current pool. But is there any chance that we could have a new, smaller version in there sometime in 2027? Is that doable?
I'm going to go off the information that's been provided to me from the collaborative, and the handful of pool contractors in the Midwest that take on pools this size are right now 2 to 3 years out. They're still saying the setback from COVID, and because this is such a specialty item or scope of work, that there's only a small handful of them that do this. So as of right now, the goal was bid it out this winter, this spring, keep operating the pool as we have. Again, crediting staff for keeping the pool open. And then hopefully construction would start in the fall of 27. That was the plan up until 2 weeks ago when these pipes started bursting underneath.
Okay, thank you. I'm just trying to explore every
Yep.
possible option, and we probably still haven't talked about all the possibilities, but like I said, it's going to be a difficult decision, whatever it is, and yeah, it's going to be tough.
I know budget wise, the school district in 2014 had to make a decision because they were losing 1,200 gallons a day from water underneath the main drain. And when you lose water under the main drain, there's no option. You have to cut the center drain out so the pool doesn't heave out of the water or heave out of the ground, and millions of dollars to replace that small pool. And if you think of the Springbrook pool, it was 6 lanes. That was all. It was very small. There was no deck. There's nothing like that. And that figure, I believe, was in the area of $3 million.
One more thing I'm throwing out there. I believe that we have a very generous community, and I think there are philanthropists out there that would help support our efforts. So that's something that we need to explore too. If there's people in the community that would like to help support the effort, I think we should explore that option as well.
I believe that part of making this difficult decision is to really look at what the market is like. We have so many memories about how we used to go to public pools and just be crowded. People were everywhere. Everybody loved it. That's our memories. That's not what public pools are now. We just have to start to think about those difficult decisions about where we're going to go with this pool. It's not fixing one thing and having another thing break. You're fixing one and 3 things are breaking. And someone asking for promises, we can't make promises. I mean, this is a difficult decision we're going to have to make. I think that the building is transferable. I think it is something that we could use with an application with something else there in that park without a pool, with splash pads or paddleball or other things. I think that's a viable option. But I think that we really need to look at what happens if we do not have a pool.
I think Commissioner Miller hits it on the head, because this afternoon, where did the tour take us? Downtown, but to an esports room that's now being built and connected to a restaurant that's going to be associated with bringing in youth to the downtown area that are college aged. There wasn't talk of a pool to bring in college age youth to recreate downtown. So I think part of it also is adapting with the sign of the times and using the resources that are within our community, the Y pool, the Adrian High School pool that's been renovated and is ready to last for the next generation, and see how we can partner with them to be fiscally responsible.
I know that Adrian Public Schools did a presentation a while back on a recreational facility, and they have tabled that for right now. But I would be very interested in having a conversation with them about including a pool and some support from the city and doing it maybe that way, rather than tear out the whole pool that we have and rebuild or even tear it all out and make something smaller. It sounds like the cost is still going to be significant. So is there a way for us to partner with the schools in a potential recreational facility that they were looking into in the future? I don't want to let go of not having, I mean, if we have to close this financially for financial purposes, that's really sad, but I don't want to let go of the idea of maybe there's another way or something else we can do. So if we could maybe have you may know, because that's where you come from, you may know way more about that than me too, Jeremiah, but I'd like to hear you continue to maybe try to come up with some ideas.
Never ever forget the young swimmers. I think the entire part of that driving force is that we need to remember that we need to somehow try to facilitate or help the other pools in the area to help us to train the young people to swim. I think it's our obligation to try to continue to see that happening at the Y or other places. I think it's very important.
And when we do look back at the previous bond that was out there, two big items that were associated with that was there was the plan to go to an 8-lane pool with a diving well. And when we did significant polling and interviews with Epic MRA, an outside agency, that was the number two thing that the community did not support. The community supported maintaining the footprint of our current of that current pool for the next generation, but not expanding it at that time. And again, that was pre-COVID, different time, but that was a guiding force for what the school district did to keep it that size, and probably what Mr. Parker's thinking about as well, because that's a huge operational cost for the school district to, if they were to add additional pool.
Jeremiah, can the Fee Estate, and I know the answer to this, help with any of these costs?
No.
No. Thank you. Please restate that. The Fee Estate cannot help with maintenance of Bone Pool.
That is correct.
It cannot help with building a new pool.
No.
It cannot help with building a splash pad, correct?
Correct. It cannot.
Okay, thank you. Now, the oil and gas money, on the other hand, that fund, that is possibly.
Yeah, so we're paying phase 2 with the distribution, our first
Correct.
pool of 350,000 for phase 2. So that's how we're paying for this phase right now.
Yeah, thank you. The only last thing I want to say is we have a member in the audience that allowed us to keep this pool open for decades. And I'm not sure if he is interested, but I would like to thank John Noss for all of your years of service for keeping our pool open. My children loved working for you. So thank you.
And I do want to say, every time I mention, when I talk about staff, John is our go-to. John's been retired for quite a number of years. And when I first came to the city 4 years ago, and this pool was obviously an issue back then, our superintendent, Jason Lawrence, I go, who do we go to for this? And he's like, John Noss, let me make the introduction. And so I am deeply thankful to John for all his help. John's there all the time. I feel like we're annoying him, but he keeps answering our phone calls. And so we're very grateful. And again, I know I sound like a broken record, but the pool's been open for so many years because of John Noss.
Yes.
He teaches our current employees how things work. We're able to bounce ideas off of them. So again, the reason this 54-year-old pool is still open right now is because of guys like John Noss, and John in particular. So I agree with you 100%. So the question remains.
I was gonna say, do you have an answer?
Yeah, we didn't really answer you. We just were.
So and I'm not guiding a decision, what I need from you tonight. So the weather is still warm. We're still literally investigating it on a day-to-day basis. Where we're at now is that main 14-inch return line that's cracked and spewing water, as you see in that photo. For us to have any chance to open next year, that has to be fixed. But with that, it is not guaranteed that it can be fixed, right? That the equipment that's down there is so old, it would be, like I said, retrofitting and trying to get some really mechanically inclined people to go down in there and try to fix this. So that would be the first thing that we would need to have a discussion on. If you want to have the pool open next year, this is what has to happen. We still have the pool full. We're still with John and a number of other contractors working on this. But again, we need to make that decision, but also remember that for me, that there's a threshold, right? How much are you willing to allow us to continue to, we could fix that potentially for $10,000 here the next few weeks, and then something else blows. But again, be prepared that that liner, and I keep saying it, but it's protruding out so bad at any moment that could come off. So we could fix this, put $10,000, $15,000 into it, and then in April we go down there and it's gone, right? Which then would still sit us back 2 years. We still have to dig up the entire pool footprint and build a new pool if that was the direction you want to go.
So this isn't something that I'm just asking, that we could look at in the spring, once we know if this liner's shot or not, where we could say, oh, now we can try to fix this. That's not an option? I'm just
That's
asking.
actually, it's a mayor that's actually not about it. I mean, that is something we could explore, right? If the liner is still there and still holding on, then we could potentially move forward and try to fix this. But again, we do that. Again, the weather is funny. So we start opening mid-April. John gets us going. We get that going. We start working on that, right? That could potentially lead into other issues. And then that looks at a late opening, so there's a ton of risk with that. I would recommend that if we're going to move forward with this and we want to explore every option with Bone Pool, whether that's building a smaller pool, whatever that may look like, if that's what the commission decides that we do, then try to fix this and open next year, as we were going to do up until a couple of weeks ago. So
Is it also an option if we were to decide to go ahead and try to fix this return line? But could we wait on the slide pump at least? Because then we could say, well, let's wait and see if we have a liner and if we're actually going to open. I would hate to spend the money on that, or, I don't know. I don't know if that
correct.
is.
Yeah. So I added that, and it's like when I started, it's kind of added injury to insult here. That's a minor thing, right? That's more of an amenity. Obviously, kids love the slide, but is it a necessity at this moment? No, it's not. But I just wanted to highlight that here's another cost that is coming down the pipe and it blew a couple of weeks ago. So, if we do fix this, the liner's still there. Sure, we could go without the slide, but that's a major attraction of the pool.
Right. Yeah,
We're
I do.
2 leaks then, right now? 2 leaks, right?
Yes.
2 leaks
Yep.
and a slide pump
Yep.
broke
Yep.
and a potential liner issue.
Yes. It's not a matter of what, if, it's when. The liner could be any day now. Like I said, it's so bad.
Jeremiah, this isn't a leading question at all, but has anyone pondered what kind of cost we're looking at for a full demolition of that pool?
Well, so just I would assume, right? So in order for us to move forward with phase 3, and that is essentially a full demo of the pool and rebuilding it back, we're talking that $3.5 to $5 million when it's all said and done. So if we're just talking the demo and cleanup, I would assume probably $1 million, $1.5 million, $2 million just to demo it and then bring it back up to environmental standards.
Yeah, I'm not leading anywhere.
Nope, no, understood,
That's that
understood.
question.
What I would say is that we had a conversation here 2 weeks ago, and that conversation had nothing to do with any of the items on today's fix-it list.
Correct.
As hard as it is, I support investing no more money into Bone Pool at this time.
Are you saying that we're revisit this in February and March? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
I would say if the long-term plan is to keep Bone Pool in some fashion, whether it's the current layout as is or reducing the size of the pool, then if you wanted me to move forward with this, trying to fix it so we're open next summer, we could do that. Or the tough decision would be to say we're not going to invest any more money, and then we're immediately going to get to work on a plan to restore and bring back Bone Pool.
How long do you think it would delay it if we waited to fix this in the spring after seeing if the liner made it through and looks like it's gonna make it through?
I'm sorry, say that again,
So
Mayor.
if we waited to fix this until spring, after seeing if the liner made it through the winter and all of that, it looks like we're gonna be able,
Mhm.
how long do you think it would delay the opening of the pool for that season? I mean, or are you saying
That's
you
so-
don't even
that's
think
so-
it could open at all, even if we didn't fix this now? That's what I guess I'm asking.
So this fix has to be done in order for us to make any attempt to open. I think it would serve us best if that's the goal that you wanted and that's where we're going. And this something while the weather's still fairly nice, while the pool is still filled with water, that we pursue this. If that the long-term goal is to keep the pool going and
One more. So
Yep.
if we get to next spring and we limp through and we get the liner is okay, sooner or later, we're going to lose the liner. I mean,
Yes.
we may be able to save it for one, but sooner or later, we're going to lose a summer of swimming.
Correct. So the construction, again, if this is where we're going, the actual construction and the redoing and the makeup of that pool, we're going to lose a year regardless. Our contractors have said there's essentially zero chance that you could start in the fall, they stop in late November, December, and then pick back up in April and try to be done in 2 months. So you're going to lose a season if that's where we go.
I feel like we're playing poker.
I think the
And
prudent thing,
will it not? I don't think we have a viable option for next summer. Unfortunately, I think I'm quite frankly afraid for all of you to go down there and start working and trying to repair stuff. It seems like it might be a little even dangerous for you guys to be trying to repair these things. Like you went down to fix one thing, another thing busted, you know? That concerns me quite a bit, and it's a extensive cost to gamble right now.
I'd like to see, I mean, I guess, and my thought on that is I really would like to see us explore possibly the use of, Adrian High School, maybe having open pool hours, not just swim lessons, seeing if there's some kind of a partnership while, like explore that, but also then begin to explore how to, where are we going for the future? Like that, like this phase 3, or if we are doing it, if we're not, or, in a watered down version or whatever it looks like, explore that at the same, at the same time, but let's really try to set up a plan at least for the next year. If we're not going to fix it, I think we really need to be proactive about that. I will agree with Commissioner Roberts. These swim lessons are very, very valuable. Most of the children that I have taught, that is where they've learned their swim. That's where they've learned to swim. They cannot afford the center. They cannot afford lessons at the Y. That is where they go. They all rely on bone pool swim lessons in the summer. They do. They all talk about it. And that, I don't want to see that. I want to see some kind of plan. And yes, we'll have to pay money, but it's going to be a lot less than $90,000. Like, like basically we paid this year to have the pool open. But I would like to see it be more than just those swim lessons. I know a lot of families that live in apartment buildings and they're hot and they have no place unless they go to a splash pad, and that's not really what they're looking for. They want to have that pool experience, or maybe those children have taken those swim lessons now and they want to go swim and practice and, and get better. And they have that family time. I'd still like to see that happen in some capacity somewhere. Maybe it's not Adrian High School. Maybe it is the Y. The only reason I'm hesitant on the Y is because I know it's like more like a rehab pool, but also because it's not in the city. And I hate, it's so hard sometimes for families to get out there. That's why I'm even saying that possibility of Adrian High School, just because people can walk there, they can ride bikes there. Like this is, a definite possibility, at least in my brain it is. I would hope it would be. I really don't want to see that, that option be taken away from our residents for sure. And then explore, where do we go from here? But maybe look at that first and foremost so we can get next year figured out if that's where that's headed.
Jeremiah, I really don't think, personally, I feel that I'd rather not see us spend any money this fall on this. I know that sounds really negative, but I really believe that we need to do some more investigation, some more searching of what our options are. And I don't think right now repairing that, those things that are broken, if we can let it go for a while, I just can't imagine spending that money right now. I mean, I might be way off saying that, but
You know, Jeremiah, in the high school pool, I don't know how much use it even has in the summer. There's no classes, there's no anything. I don't know what they run in the summer. I think a collaborative move would be to talk to the public schools and find out, to teach kids to swim or to have lane swimming and things like that. I know it's indoors, but can we use this pool? Can we rent it from you? Probably won't be $90,000 that we're losing every year with Bone Pool now, but I think it's worth the conversation if we're going to look for alternatives and things like that. And, losing $90,000 a year, and I think you said a splash pad's around 100,000.
The current one that was built 2 years ago was 130,000.
So, every 2 years, we could build a splash pad at a different part of the city that's in neighborhoods and things, and that are just close for people that can get up and go to. And the high school might not be a perfect alternative, but it's not far from where Bone Pool was. I mean, if you're going to the Bone Pool, you can go to the high school pretty much without a huge inconvenience.
And just so you know, I have had conversations, because I work pretty closely with Athletic Director O'Brien at the high school, and him and I have spoke over the last couple of weeks. He said, if that's where we're at, let us know. We'll get to work on something. So
Fair.
that is a viable option. I have had that conversation already in regards to swim lessons.
Thank
being
you.
the number one item.
What I would say would be important is to not kick this can down to the spring, to say, let's see if Bone Pool is openable in the spring, because then who's gonna host us? Where are the facilities? Who are the employees? I think now in this winter is the time to plan for next spring for an alternative location. The pool at the high school is traditionally closed for a month in the summer for chemical updates and for maintenance. But knowing that now, working with the high school and the maintenance and the facility department, their version of our guys here, maybe that could be reduced. But if we're talking about staff, is that going to be, we're teaching swimming, there's no staff at the high school that teaches swimming for kids. So is that our staff then at that location? And I'm sure there's some nice MOUs that Burke will review for us between that time. And I think this winter is the time to make that decision, so that, and have those items in place so that there's a seamless transition for swim season, not to wait till April 15th to say, yep, we told you, or even worse, oh, it's $40,000 to fix these 8 things. And then June 2nd comes around and there's another leak, or that's when the pool liner goes. And now we have no plan in place to use the Y pool or the Adrian High School pool or another facility.
Do we need to make a motion to do just what Commissioner Banky said, Attorney Castleberry? Or is our words here just enough guidance?
If you're going to stop funding, you should probably do a motion.
Can you repeat that, Bob, with a motion? Oh,
Sure.
I think the first thing we have to do before we do anything, I'm not in favor of spending a lot of money this fall. I think we have to reach a decision of do we want, and we represent the community, hopefully, do we want a community pool? To me, that's the first question that has to be answered. Because if we don't want one, this one's going to die and we're going to move forward. I'm thinking, and I could be wrong, that even if we lost 2 or 3 seasons and we built a pool, a facility that would last the next 25 and look long-term on this, is that something, there will be people that want to have a summer in the pool, but it may not happen. But is it worth sacrificing 2 or 3 years of not having the pool, doing other alternatives to get the swim lessons? And I think that's very important. I was on the captain of the swim team when I was in high school, not here, but elsewhere. But is it worth sacrificing a couple of years to give the community the best thing we can give them for the next 25 years?
I think that's what Bob just said.
I guess I wasn't listening.
He said it in different words.
Okay,
He said it in different words, but he did just, that's, you're on the same wavelength.
so, but again, I think the decision is the first decision we have to make is, do we want to have a community pool?
And I think Jeremiah has a big task in front of him this year
Yep.
with the update of the community parks plan, which goes back to Commissioner Goss in terms of what do our parks look like, which is also part of the bigger strategic plan focus of moving forward. And I think part of that goes back to, having Mr. Davies share what the pool usage numbers were. And, we have this vision in our head of the great days, but we also have the reality of the 25 folks that were there on August 15th. So,
Well, the one thing that will go further, if we do use the high school pool, and he said August was more down, high school swimming will already be, like swim team practices will already be going on and stuff. So
June is the
yeah,
month
it won't, yeah, I mean, we do know that's a down month and we probably won't be able to use it as much. That's where I was going with that. In August, it probably won't be an option, at least as much.
So our swim lessons finish up the end of July because of a couple of weather days. We did go a couple of days into that first week of August, but in general, we had it set up because we lose a lot of our guards that first and second week. It's a struggle to staff the pool. So we have it set up where it's heavy June and July for swim lessons.
in the pool at the high school is traditionally closed in the month of June. So with that being said, what I believe my motion was that we do not invest any further funds into Bone Pool at this point. And we charge Director Davies with working with local community organizations to establish an opportunity for our city residents to participate in swim lessons and open swim opportunities for next summer.
While also exploring, I'm just asking, is that also while also exploring the future?
Well, I
Present-
think that's already
Okay.
a part of his charge
You second that.
with that, with updating the parks plan.
Give me 1 second, I'm writing it down.
One thing nice about having the script up there is you can just reread it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we have a motion from Commissioner Banky with a second from Commissioner Castleberry to not invest more funds and charge our Parks and Recreation Director, Jeremiah Davies, to work with different entities. I'm going to paraphrase, sorry, to try to come up with a plan so that we can still offer these services for next summer and for the future. Is there any more commissioner discussion or comments before we vote?
What do you think we should do with people that may contribute to the pool? Is that going to be part of the motion? We should explore that.
I
No?
think that's part of future
That's part of
planning.
the discussion.
Yeah, future planning.
Okay.
But I've got some thoughts on that too, but not tonight.
So we have a motion from Commissioner Banky with a second from Commissioner Castleberry. Roll call, please.
Mayor Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes,
Commissioner Schwartz,
Yes.
Commissioner Banky,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Castleberry,
Yes.
Commissioner Gauss.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Well, so we're not done yet. So if you see your sheet, at our last meeting, you gave me some instructions in regards to Monument Park.
Yes, I was just
So-
going to say, our next discussion topic is
Yep.
Monument Park, so take it away.
So I met with Ken Thompson, who's a sculptor and conservator. He runs Flatlanders. Back on the 10th, we met, had a really good discussion for about a half hour, talking about what restoration truly meant to the monument. So he kind of laid out the processes and procedures that he thought, being an expert in this field, that needed to take place. I said I was charged with the duty of moving forward with this project. He said he was willing to honor the original quote of 15,000 way back when this started. I said, okay, I said I would bring that. So really what we need to do now is my thoughts. Says this was something that was, you charged with me with kind of moving forward with. October 6th, our next meeting, I thought about having Ken coming, laying out what exactly restoration means to the monument there. With that, giving us some insight, because this is again a specialty item and a specialty skill that he possesses. With that, we could hire Ken to design the specs, because this is something that I don't do. I'm not a sculptor or a conservator. We could hire Ken to design the specs, bid the project out, and then have it come back in. Or we could, if we have the option to, you have the option to, we could move forward with a resolution to waive the bid process, citing Ken's ability. And really, he's the only one locally, even when I research online, Ken is the go-to in this field. But that's totally up to you. So I can do that one of two ways. Again, I could hire Ken, have him design the specs, we bid it out, or I could bring him to the next meeting, have him lay out his plan, and if you so choose, we could move forward with the resolution at that point. But we would have to waive the bid process so he could put it on his schedule and get us going forward. So it's up to you.
I'd like to have him present. My opinion is I'd like to have him present at the October 6th meeting. I do agree, he's the expert in the area. But that's what I think, at least, definitely.
I kind of go back to the concern with transparency. And I think that we as an organization up here have been completely transparent since this issue has been brought to us by many of our own constituents that have said time and time again, where's my money? And this money is not having anything to do with the city. So we have a concern that was brought up originally in 2017 that the monument was in dire need of repair and had to be addressed. And from 2017 to now, there's been an utter failure from this group in terms of the work that they've done, in terms of the money that I myself have contributed, and there's been zero communication. I have never received one communication that has been unsolicited from this group. I have always had to reach out, and others that I have talked to have said the same thing. I have purchased a brick. My family is a brick family. I've told you that. I purchased a brick at Hidden Lake Gardens, and 35 days later, it was installed. Adrian Morning Rotary purchased another brick. That was a little bit longer, 60 days, and it was installed. I purchased a brick for my grandfather at the World War II Museum, 6 months. That took because they install those on public streets, and that was installed. Not a period of going on 8 years with no hope, no vision, no communication. I think that that group, when they talk about a public apology, I think they need to apologize to the donors that invested their money with hopes that this was going to be repaired. And now, unfortunately, this becomes a public bailout of their failure to use those funds in an appropriate, transparent way to get these things addressed. And I think that having Ken come in and speak to us in a transparent way to show the work that he's going to do and the commitment that this commission has had to work with them. Director Davies has met with them multiple times to try and find compromise, to try and find bend, and none of that has happened. And I think because there's no confidence in that group that they can come forward and fix the monument and install those bricks in some other location, that we as a commission will repair our property appropriately.
Is it appropriate to resolve to waive the bid process and ask Ken to do a presentation at the first meeting in October? I would hate for him to come to a presentation on his process and then allow someone else to bid on it. Does that make
No,
sense?
it is not. We did that once before with the sound system in here.
But there was
and
there was a
it
lot of
was-
disagreement about allowing him to do that and then putting it out for bid and people underbidding him. With the sound system that I'm saying, that
Right.
that happened and we agreed that that was not appropriate at
Correct.
that time.
Correct. We already have a figure out there. He is guaranteed a figure. It is not fair to his business to have someone come in and bid 14,000 because they know he's bid 15,000. So my opinion would be that we can do a resolution tonight, right now, since we're already doing resolutions, to waive the bid process and proceed with having Ken Thompson not to exceed $15,000.
Yep, that's what I was,
Yeah,
Where-
it is completely not fair for his business
Mhm.
to have a figure out there and have other people underbid him. Sure. That is a motion to the resolution or a motion to waive the bid process and proceed with Ken Thompson through Flatlanders to fix, mend, whatever needs to be done to the Civil War monument and to spend up to $15,000.
I support that.
Any other discussion? Commissioners on that?
A couple of things that were said, and a lot of them Commissioner Banky covered that I had same thoughts. One thing that was said earlier tonight in that presentation is leadership of the city has broken their word. In 2017, when this began, there is no one up here, and Mr. Davies is not, was not part of our city at that time. If things had gone as planned, we wouldn't be here. In 2017, 2018, the people who might have met with this group would have made sure that the process had gone smoothly. Bricks might have even been put down in Monument Park. Our group gets voted on every 2 years, and they change, and our opinions change, ordinances change, rules change. So based on who you vote for up here, that's what's going to happen at that current time. We should not be held accountable for what was possibly discussed 8 years ago. It was not a resolution, is my understanding. There was no commitment, no contract, nothing with this group to have this happen. And guess what? Opinions change. And that is what happened. And that's why we have ordinances that change, I wouldn't say all the time, but we do amend ordinances because we learn and we grow, or the community support for an ordinance fails or comes about. So the city is not one thing. It's going to change. We need to adapt. Can't think of the right word. One thing, it's not, it's not flat. We have to change. We have to adapt to what the current interests are of our community.
And I would also add that, I was a strong supporter of this program, and You know, I was in meetings where we were trying to transition these funds to the Community Foundation, which is a 501c3 public entity that has much more transparency than somebody's private bank account. And also there was talks and plans where we were going to have these installed for Veterans Day. And November's around the corner and there's been no communication to any of the donors or working with the park or another location or things like that. And we as a city need to move on. And I think the donors deserve either a refund or something like that. That's communication in your ball, because 8 years is too long to be sitting on this money and taking absolutely zero movement with zero communication and then placing the blame on the city as a result.
So we have a motion from Commissioner Roberts with a second from Commissioner Gauss to waive the bid process and proceed with Ken Thompson of Flatlanders to do the restoration of the Civil War Monument. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Yes.
Commissioner Banky.
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Castleberry,
Yes.
Commissioner Gauss.
Yes.
Mayor Heath,
Yes,
motion carried.
but I would still like him to present on October
Yep.
6th,
Yep,
even though we've already
that's the
passed
plan.
it.
Yep,
Okay,
we'll
thank
bring
you.
together and I'll
Thank
do a
you.
resolution that night as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
At this time, we are going to have the point of sale presentation by our Community Development Director, Lisa Hewitt Cruz.
Good afternoon, good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. I forget what time of day it is. Sherry Berardi is here with me today. She handles the point of sale 100%. So I'm going to give you some information, some high-level information. We were here in May and gave you kind of an update. So today we will continue with that. And first slide. So the point of sale ordinance, the purpose, and this is pulled directly from the ordinance, just to remind you that it is to improve the livability of City of Adrian neighborhoods and to further maintenance, preservation, improvement, and development of housing for all persons regardless of income level by, misspelled word, bringing them into conformity with minimum standards of the International Property Maintenance Code as adopted. The adoption and timeline, it was adopted last year, June 3rd of 2024. It was effective November 30th of 2024. And then we began inspections on December 2nd, but it actually was about a month later that we actually got off the ground when we figured out how to make everything come together. So some statistics as of this date, Sherry's inspected 141 homes total. 18 of those homes passed inspection without any findings. So that's our good news. 74 of those homes were completed by the buyer or the seller prior to closing, got those out of the way. So 49 are left. 49 homes are still in progress of being repaired. We do accept on those as well photos for those inspections to not do on-site inspections for everything that is completed. Some of the concerns that have been reported, and you've already heard that tonight from Carrie, and that for sale by owner, FSBO we call it, is a problem because they're not listed for sale. But we are watching those on Zillow and Realtor.com as houses are listed. We check that once a week and make sure that we can prevent some of those issues before they actually happen. Properties listed out of the area, listed by out of area realtors, so they're not familiar with our point of sale. If they're, Ann Arbor, Jackson, Toledo, and those different areas, they would not be familiar with our point of sale. So we would need to do a better job of educating realtors of that point of sale. And escrow for repairs is also a concern or question that we have, and that's something that we would have to address down the road if the point of sale ordinance is not repealed. Common misconceptions does not require the property to be like new. We just need it to be in compliance with the International Property Maintenance Code as adopted. There is an opt-out option that people might not be familiar with. You can use, we can take your home inspection report and use that as a guide and not actually conduct an inspection. And again, I think it's probably should be in big bold letters, but this is just exterior only. This is not for inside people's homes, as we've heard before. So again, just exterior only inspections. The ballot language, this is right from the ballot itself, to repeal the City of Adrian Ordinance number 24-002, commonly referred to as the point of sale ordinance. If you vote yes, you're voting to repeal it. If you vote no, it remains the same. So it can be a little bit confusing. So we wanted to make sure that everybody listening or here today understands what that ballot language means. So I'm going to turn it over to Sherry. She's taken these pictures and she's going to tell you a story about for each one as to where we're at on the before and afters.
Without giving people's addresses, I don't want to do that. This actually was a agent that bought this house, her and her husband, and flipped it. I think we have the next slide too, has more. This was the house when I went out to see it originally. The barn is after. They pretty much took down the old barn. They did a lot of work to this house in a short amount of time. I think it was about 3 months. Here is another before and after. And this actually was blight when I was out on a different point of sale inspection. This is a work in progress. This is one of the first ones, point of sales that I went out on. This is a before and after. They're done on this one. Big change. This is also a work in progress. He's about a week out. He called me this morning. He's very excited for me to come out and re-inspect because of everything he's done. I asked him if I could get out there today and he was like, nope. He's super excited to show me everything he's done. The barn in the back has been taken down. All the foundation has been repaired. A lot of the windows in this, as you can see on the front door, had graffiti. That's all been taken care of. New roof. You can kind of see, I did tell Lisa I need photography classes. But the front porch on this one has the rails. And then he did, obviously you can't see it on the back. He's got a new deck out back. And on this house, he also has a side lot that was completely filled with brush. That first thing he took care of, that's all gone. These are different yards of things I've seen out on point of sales. The top left there was about a 6-foot hole dug in a backyard, filled with water. There was a shovel in it. They didn't give me a reason for that, but they filled it in. Bottom left, brush, just a mess. That's all cleaned up. The middle is a illegal shed that was actually leaking water on the neighbor's property. That is in the process of being taken down. The top right, if you can kind of see that, chickens. I found many, many chickens in backyards and coops. To date, all of them have been removed. And then the bottom right, illegal pool. And that is in the process of being removed. I found many illegal pools. Again, this is just things that I've seen. Oh, that's a sauna. The top left, that's just a broken down sauna sitting in somebody's backyard. The bottom and the middle, that was on each side of one house. And that was the mess of the house in the middle that he decided to move out to the neighbor's property. That's all been cleaned up. And the bottom right, that is a neighboring yard that the weeds are probably 8 to 10 feet tall. I would have never seen it if I wasn't in a yard doing a point of sale. There's a broken down camper, 2 cars in the weeds there. It's bad. I did get a call from that resident. He's been ill and he's hired a company that will be coming in the end of this week to make the cleanup there. I also got a call from 2 of those neighbors that are very excited that that's going to be cleaned up. Again, this is just stuff I found on point of sale. Garbage, broken windows, things you don't see from the road. A lot of times this is what I see when I go in the backyard. Again, more chickens and an illegal pool. Now, when I was there at the illegal pool, that was in a neighbor's yard of a point of sale, and I went and knocked on their door. You'll notice that the ladders in that pool, there's no fence around it. And I went and knocked on that door and nobody was home. So I went back out to the yard to make sure nobody was floating in that pool because that can happen. There was weeds, trees blocking that pool, and I would have never seen it if I wasn't in a yard. I have been in contact with them and they know that they have to come in and either get permits or get that covered. The ladder I asked them to remove the ladder immediately, reminding them that a child could climb in there. That's just some of my pictures.
Yeah, she had quite a large stack, but we didn't want to go on all night. So what's next is repeal or full implementation. We would have a lot of conversations going forward if it was not repealed as to what the structure looks like, the fee schedule looks like, and escrow for repairs, et cetera. There's a lot of policy work that would have to go into what happens next. So with that said, I'll open it up for any questions that you might have, concerns, comments. Okay.
So what I'm hearing correct is that people who are getting a point of sale for their house, you go into the backyard, and then as a result of that, you're looking in other people's backyards that you don't normally see, and then now enforcing other areas for other zoning or code enforcement violations for people that are not part of point of sale?
Correct.
Okay.
When we do, I'm also a blight officer. When we do that, we can only write up what we see from the street.
And then
Now that I have been given permission by the homeowner to go into a yard, I can see other things. We're not allowed to just go into people's yards.
So, given permission, or if they were to submit a building report from a building inspector, aren't there a certain number of hoops that needed to be jumped through to be an approved point of sale inspector as well?
I don't know what you mean.
I
what your
remember part
question-
of the ordinance that we approved required approval from the
Correct.
Director of Community Development. So
Yes.
it's not, is it as simple as what you said, that you just take a form? Or because there were some hoops that had to be jumped through and approval needed to be granted from that building inspector? It wasn't just any building inspector.
Actually, certification from the International Property Maintenance Code. She has to take a test as well as all the other code enforcement officers, just like a building official.
No, I meant, you said a building inspector, like.
So Lucas
for me.
Inspectors, Lucas is a known inspector in the area. And does he have, did he have to come to the city and get some kind of license from the city saying that what his building inspecting
So
will cover the point of sale?
Are you talking about the home inspection
Yes.
itself?
Inspection,
Okay,
yeah.
Yes,
so
the home
they have to be
inspection.
licensed by the state of Michigan, and we would verify that on the website for the state of Michigan. Just like a building official has to have a license, the home inspector has to have a license You can't just be anyone and do that. I'm not sure if I answered
But
that.
as a home inspector, are they required to look at all of the items that we are looking for?
They look at 10,000 more items than we look for.
So
They're
you
inside
take-
and outside. So
You
we just
take their inspection and then you do essentially a point of sale
for the exterior.
for the
only.
exterior only.
If there's anything that violates International Property Maintenance Code on that home inspection report for exterior only, we would address only that.
Got it.
And then does that home inspector record and inspect other people's backyards as well while they do the one that they were contracted for?
They only inspect what that house, not even, I'm not even so sure they even look at the yard, because the septic is done by a septic service. Well is done by somebody that tests the well or the water, but it's just the house itself is the home inspector's responsibility.
So what I'm hearing is that any licensed inspector doesn't have to do anything or any extra that.
Correct.
So, and if they go into a backyard and there's something that's not right, they're invited into that backyard because of point of sale or whatever, and they see something that's dangerous, you know, you have a pool with a ladder in it, no one supervised, I didn't see a fence around it. So, you know, you're eliminating that hazard as well, and you're bringing things up to code and decreasing the blight. A question I have is how long are we taking now that we're into this before we get a request for an inspection, the inspection's done, and the buyer and the seller get their report back, what needs to, if anything needs to be fixed?
Let Sherry answer that because I think she can do that. She's the one that does that.
When I get a call to do a point of sale, I immediately send them, if they haven't already, a point of sale application that gives me permission to be on the property. I normally will get out there that day or the next day. As a lot of you know, our department's going through a lot of changes that I'm helping with. So I've never been more than 2 days or even the weekend and then come back on Monday and do them. I normally by that afternoon have the report to them. There has been a couple of times with the report being more lengthy that it's been the next day. Some of the calls, the title company brought up that what they had happened, I got that call. I immediately ran out there and did that point of sale and went back to the office, got that ready and drove that to the title company so that they had that. And I wasn't holding up the sale, the closing. I don't want to hold up a closing. I am getting some that we're having on Friday afternoon, we're having the closing on Monday. I've met all of them dates. Moving forward and when if it passes, becoming more popular or busier, we may have to get some rules on that. I would like to have a week's notice, but I don't always get that. Then I have some that homeowners that call and say, my house isn't listed yet, but I want the point of sale. I go out and do that. So we do need to come up with some rules for that.
What is the charge for the inspection?
Currently 0.
So there is no charge for a
There's
home
no
inspection.
charge.
You know, the question's been raised about going in somebody's backyard and looking at the neighbor's yards and whatever. I asked that question a couple of weeks ago, and because from time to time, I get contacted, and probably others commissioners do as well, about somebody, my neighbor's next door, it's a mess. They got, an abandoned car back there, the grass is growing long. Can't you do something about it? And what I was told is if the person making the complaint is willing to let us go in their backyard and we can observe both neighbors and the one behind, then you can go and do traditional code enforcement. So I think that's another benefit in my mind of point of sale. The other thing I would say to address Ms. Smith's comments, it would seem that that's certainly an argument for somebody to enlist the services of a realtor, because the realtors do know what to do with point of sale. Somebody selling for sale by owner, yeah, I'm not surprised that they didn't know, but that's what realtors are for. And so I'm making a pitch for the realtors tonight that, you know, you ought to hire a realtor if you're going to sell your house.
Question for Burke. So with the upcoming election, city employees, are they allowed to take a position and communicate that position one way or another during work hours or part of their job?
They should not be doing it as part of their job, no.
Okay. So
But they're entitled to their personal opinion.
their personal opinion, right, but not during the work days or work hours,
Oh, you should not be driving around in a City of Adrian truck promoting point of sale
or not?
or not.
Right.
Correct.
So then my question is with the upcoming NAACP voter
Forum.
Candidate forum.
forum that they have. So city employees, so there's two sides. City employees should not be on the dais promoting one way or another.
Well, I will tell you that election law is one of the most complex laws that we have in the state of Michigan. And typically, even clerks, and I'm sure April will agree with me, having been the county attorney for so long and been through so many elections, it's not that simple. I would suggest that if that's going to happen, that the question be presented to the county clerk and possible research further with the Secretary of State. But I would always want to be conservative in my answer, and that would say, no, city employees should not be part of an election unless it specifically is allowed by the Secretary of State.
All right, thank you.
So a comment was made that there's past due point of sales and we haven't followed up. I have my thoughts on why that might be, but could you explain why that might be and what's your tracking system now?
So I go into the system and I put in a date, the earliest date that I may put on a report. And on the bottom of the report, it asks them to call and reschedule an inspection or to send pictures of the corrections. If neither one of those are done, a letter is sent out. I do just send one, and sometimes I don't hear back.
And then what happens?
As of right now, there's no recourse.
Okay.
We can go back on blight if it's something that we can see and,
Okay.
yeah, if it's something we can see, we can go back on blight.
So there's no real, as people like to say, teeth to the ordinance right now.
Right now. Correct.
So if they don't comply, they don't comply.
For things that we can't see. So if it's in the yard or, otherwise, if it's stuff that we can see, we can issue a violation and then a ticket to go to court.
How many hours would you say you spent on the projects with point of sale?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
How many hours are you spending on point of sale within a typical week?
In a week, probably about 25 to 35, depending on how many I have. The biggest part or the most time consuming is writing up a report.
And so as a city, we're underwriting that 100%. So all these home sales are taking place for free from the city as a gift to them. And we're
Correct.
okay. The last question that that I have in association with this is the grass comment. So I heard from one constituent last week at my monthly conversations that they got zero notice and someone came out and cut the grass because it was too long. And then we hear an example, and I don't know the context of this tonight, that someone gets a 2-month time frame to cut the grass in their backyard because it's too long. So if we're enforcing blight as part of point of sale, shouldn't we be enforcing it at an equal level? That if we're gonna send a mower to somebody's yard with no notice and cut the grass because it's a violation of blight, and we have a violation of blight with tall grass, I guess I just don't understand.
I
why
would
they get
agree with you
notice.
in the way you're saying that. Weeds is blight and it's grass when our blight inspector is out. And there is no warning. It's an ordinance. It needs to be followed, and then we have a contractor that goes out. I have never, ever written up a point of sale for tall grass, never. There's been some that the grass needs to be cut, but I'm assuming maybe I'm there on a Tuesday or Wednesday. They'll probably get to it on the point of sale. I'm writing up overgrown bushes that may be pushing gutters out. I've seen gutters with weeds in them. So it's different. It's not the cutting grass part.
Okay. And just the only other feedback that I got from, again, my community conversations was, you know, if someone put a notice on my door, hey, the grass is too long at this point, they would have cut it the next day. Instead of getting it on the tax bill. I don't know, in terms of getting some notice, I guess I just feel better.
I agree. That is in our ordinance that it's 8 inches and then the city sends somebody out to cut it. I do believe Lisa's working on things
Next year-
like that.
Right. Next year, we're going to make some changes. We're going to have door knockers, or not door knockers, door hangers, letting people know we'll be back in a couple days, giving them a chance. We haven't done that yet. So we have heard that about the no warning part, and we just go out and do that. So we're looking at redesigning quite a few things within our department to be a little bit more customer friendly in that sense, whether it's snow, trash, or grass. Those are the big 3 top vendors in that arena. So.
Could you clear something up for me? I got lost and all of a sudden I said the point of sale was not enforceable. Did I hear it wrong? That you said we,
The repercussions for not complying, there's no policy in place currently to fine someone or otherwise. So there's no fee for that service. There's no repercussions for non-compliance. So it's all been voluntary compliance based on the ordinance itself.
Okay,
So
so
we have to build that structure.
I sell my house and I just tell point of sale, I'm not doing it.
Mhm. That's it.
And no one's held accountable for blight.
Blight, we
Blight
can
can just
consider from a
continue.
different standpoint. That's like what Sherry was saying, where we can enforce blight that is on the, in the ordinance, and there are fees attached to that for tall grass or junk cars, well, just debris, et cetera, under the International Property Maintenance Code. It doesn't have to be under the point of sale to address blight.
Okay.
I think that that was a conversation we had when we first voted on point of sale, and the community rallied and decided that they wanted to vote themselves, and this is how government works, right? It's so in the process, while we're waiting for the election to happen, I think we chose not to charge a fee, et cetera, that we were going to wait until the vote happened. So that's why we're not charging a fee or moving forward with any repercussions. If, correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa and Sherry, if in the future, if it passes and as in we maintain point of sale, and there would be more of a, like almost a contract or something stating that this is what needs to be fixed if you take it on as the buyer, and that money would have to be escrow. That's why you were talking about escrow. So that it would be done like that. Does that make
Correct.
sense, what I'm saying? That's why we're not escrowing any money right now. It's kind of a gentleman's handshake, gentlewoman's handshake, that it gets done until the election happens. That is what I remember us discussing and how we've been operating until that happens.
But but the point of sale was implemented, so it wasn't not implemented. And I think with part of that implementation, there's civil infraction violation that's in place, correct?
That's correct.
So in talking about enforceable or not enforceable, if someone doesn't comply, then they're in violation of a civil infraction because that's what the commission passed.
Well, it is enforceable. I don't know where this notion that something's not enforceable. There's discretion. And this commission just made a decision that they would not charge and that they would not violate anyone. And so the city has that discretion.
Well,
You have that
right.
discretion.
I mean, my understanding and interpretation was that the commission implemented it, that the commission chose not to move forward with escrows because that's too much of a pain in the butt. And there's no policy in place, so they didn't create a fee to create the fee structure. But I don't recall that the commission ever waived any enforcement.
I'm not either, but if code enforcement is not writing a civil infraction, that is
Then
their
it's not.
discretion. And there is, to what they're saying, there is no repercussion if they
Okay.
don't cite them.
All right, so that's not on the commission as Commissioner Schwartz was kind of pointing out. It's on,
Commissioner Binky, I don't remember if the commission said it or not. I don't remember that. I do remember the decision of no fee structure, at least until the election was done. I honestly just don't remember. But it is my understanding that they have not cited people.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner, are there any other items to bring forward for the informational discussion topics? All right, before we ask for a motion for the consent agenda, our city attorney has asked to speak to you for some clarification.
So on the consent agenda, it would be letter C and D, which are the resolutions to appoint our new city administrator and Mr. Holtz to the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority. In the resolution itself, it says that it's a reappointment. It is not a reappointment. So really it's just a clerical, Michelle. I just want to make sure we get that changed before we sign, if it passes before it's signed.
So may I get a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Support.
Or
Whoa.
one or the other.
They want to get out of here.
Rock and roll. Moving.
All right, we're going to give the motion to Castleberry and the second to Commissioner Banky. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Schwartz,
Yes.
Commissioner Banky,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Castleberry.
Yes.
Commissioner Gauss.
Yes.
Mayor Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving on to the regular agenda, Resolution R25-054 is from administration. It is a resolution to waive the bid process and approve the purchase of trees for the Comstock Christmas Riverwalk. May I get a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Support.
Are there any commissioner comments or discussion on this?
This is the company that we've traditionally used for years, correct? And they've guaranteed that they can get the number of trees we want. And so I just want to make sure that we know that going in, that it's been used. They've always fulfilled what they needed and those things.
That was my understanding. Michelle, can you verify? Or
Yes.
Jeremiah, whoever over there? I don't know. Thank you. Yeah.
Because I do recall when we didn't use this company, we then needed to go back to this company to
Yes.
help us out.
Yes, true. We have a motion from Commissioner Castleberry with a second from Commissioner Miller. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Banky,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Castleberry,
Yes.
Commissioner Gauss,
Yes.
Mayor Heath,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts.
Yes.
Commissioner Schwartz.
Yes.
Motion carried.
The moment you've all waited for, public comment. It is now time for general public comment. Just to reiterate, there is a 3-minute time limit. And for the record, please state your name and place of residence. When we have exhausted all comment inside the chambers, we will then open it up to the Zoom participants.
Terry Collins, 11 Scott Court, Adrian. I promised myself I wouldn't speak tonight, but I feel compelled to do so. I am a veteran. My daughter's a veteran. My son-in-law a veteran. I have a grandson who's a veteran, 2 grandsons on active duty, several nephews who are veterans. I want to laud this commission of what they did tonight in reference to Monument Park, a position I've held and I've stated before here. The only names important in that park are the names on the monuments. That's the only names that should be there, the only ones that mean anything. I purchased one of those bricks, and I could care if my grandsons, great-grandsons, great-great-grandsons ever walk up and say, there's Grandpa Stone right there. The names are important. Dave Adams on Vietnam, Butch Heider on Vietnam, Lowell Metz on Vietnam, all good friends of mine. Those are the names that are important. Those are the names to remember. I don't care. And I would ask, I'm sure it's not pervades to the city, but the organization that collected these funds, it's a moot point now. After what the action you take, it's a moot point. So if they intend to return the funds, I would ask that my funds be donated to the city, small amount that it is, to offset the cost of this. Thank you.
Excuse me. Dave Loop, resident Adrian here. This is more of a question to possibly the city attorney and stuff like that. Who owns the monuments at Monument Park? Now, I know for a fact the Vietnam Monument and the Afghanistan Freedom Monument in the northeast corner, all that money was raised through contributions to basically the United Veterans Council, which is how those monuments were created. We can look way back into the history, like someone had mentioned in 2017, we had a meeting with some people from the city. Nothing was ever said as to whether we could or could not do that. It was just something that we volunteered to do, to take and make that thing look beautiful like all the other monuments there. Same way with the Vietnam monuments, same way with the Korean War Veterans Monument. It used to be named Vietnam Korean, we made it strictly Korean. And the Afghanistan one. All this was made through contributions, but by law, who owns, does the city own those monuments now? That the funds were raised by a lot of veterans, like Terry was talking here? With a lot of people here in Adrian, a lot of the veterans groups are the ones that solicit for that money for those monuments. A lot of people have often said to me, well, that's an Adrian thing. If you look at that Vietnam monument up there, there's 40-some names on there, and they are not all Adrian. It's everywhere in Lenawee County. So again, it's a monument park. Look at the history with that. Well, like I said before here months ago when we approached you about this, that in I believe it was 67, I see an article in the Adrian Telegram. They wanted to move all the city commission at that time, which I realize there's different commissioners. There wasn't any of you here when we made the agreement to do that up there as far as the Civil War monument. But the fact of it is, in 67, I think I read there was an article in the Adrian Telegram. They wanted to move all the monuments out to Oakwood Cemetery. That's a memorial park, you think. This is just, this has been named a memorial park. Looking through those articles in the Telegram from 1967 about people complaining the park was dirty and they wanted it cleaned up. Well, they did clean it up. The people on city commission at that time cleaned it up. And it looks beautiful now, as far as I'm concerned, with the way the monuments are set up there. And there's been a lot of groups that volunteered to put stuff around, to put things around the trees and the monuments and stuff. And I see my time is up, but I got another 3 minutes to sing.
No, Jason.
Somebody hit the reset button, Madam Mayor. Now, that's just me talking. You know me. Okay. Anyway, consider that. I know this debacle and some of the commissioners and I have talked about this. There was a lot more to the story than, the fact that it wasn't taken care of. And a lot of it was a lack of the committee. I was part of the committee. I'm just part of the committee. It wasn't,
All right, your time is
yeah,
up.
my
Sorry.
time is up. I gotta leave. Thank you. Thank you for your attention.
Hi, Jacob Cooper, City of Adrian. Just wanted to talk to you guys briefly. As you may or may not be aware, at our DDA meeting last week, Dusty Steele announced his resignation from both the DDA board as well as his role as chairman. Here on behalf of the board and myself as the treasurer, just wanted to take a minute to express our gratitude to Dusty for his 6 years leading the DDA board. His vision and tireless efforts were instrumental in getting downtown Adrian to where it is today, much different than what it was 6 or 10 years ago, for those of you that remember. We deeply appreciate his contributions and will certainly miss his leadership, but will continue on the incredible foundation that he helped build. Secondly, wanted to comment briefly on Bone Pool. Jeremiah, thank you for being so prepared and organized and transparent. Love to see that. This is a tough conversation, and I don't envy the seats that you guys are in. And I feel like there's a flashback to 2014 when the pool was struggling and the Parks and Rec Department was struggling. But there's a few things I'd like to point out. Commissioner Benke referenced Wave Runners and the Y as entities, but it's important to remember that those are made up of a lot of Adrian residents, nearly 100 swimmers, nearly 100 residents, nearly 100 of your constituents. So let's just make sure when we're talking that we're remembering that those are Adrian families. Secondly, pools are expensive, and I get it. I've been around pools my entire life, and they don't get any cheaper. But in this community, we tend to lose things due to budget constrictions and being frugal, and I understand that. But at some point, the quality of life conversation needs to come into play. We talk a lot about housing and making our community a place people want to be. Taking things away is not going to help that. We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars buying vacant buildings and hotels and other properties, bailing out investors and poor property owners. And that money needs to come back and do something for the citizens of this community. I heard a lot of questions about where the money's being spent on the Bone Pool repairs over the years, a lot of scrutinization about that. And I hope that we see that same level of attention across the board on all city projects, ranging from Town Square to the tunnel to everything else going on in this community. I would also point out that there's a $15 million enhancement grant out there. Part of it's certainly been spent, but that grant calls for new parks, open spaces, and public amenities. I'd like to task the commission and Jeremiah to look in to see how some of those funds could help get us out of this mess. Lastly, given the conversations tonight and the tough conversations ahead, I'd ask the city to look to host public meetings on all large ongoing projects, including the next steps on Bone Pool, the tunnel, and the Town Square project. Thank you.
Casey White, Madison Township resident. I'm also a homeowner in the city of Adrian, and I help people buy and sell homes in the city of Adrian every single day. So I am familiar with the point of sale ordinance. I do, I've said before, Sherry and Lisa, they're great. Sherry is very accommodating. And Lisa is kicking butt in terms of enforcing the ordinances that we already have on the books. And making leaps and bounds with that. But the presentation tonight of the homes, the transformation of those homes, I would not say is a result of the point of sale ordinance. I'm familiar with those homes. I'm familiar with those sales. 3 out of the 4 that were shown were specifically bought by investors to rehab and resell. They were going to do that work regardless of the point of sale inspection. So I just want to point that out. Again, it's not any secret that I am not a fan of that ordinance. So vote yes to repeal. Thanks.
Hi, Carrie Smith, City of Adrian. Thank you, Lisa and Sherry, for your presentation. They've been great partners, and I understand this is an inherited problem, not one that was initiated by you. So thank you for working with what you have. I want to be clear and clarify a point, though. Permission is not given on a mandatory inspection. It's forced and a gross overreach of an already invasive ordinance. So when you have a neighbor making a complaint, they are truly giving permission for the inspector to come into their backyard. But unfortunately, this ordinance doesn't give anybody else selling property the option to opt out. I want to recap a couple of things because there seems to be some misunderstanding of the ordinance that you voted in. So there are no fees and there's no inspection fee. There are no escrows. The ordinance states that if a property is to be transferred for any consideration amount, that a certificate of compliance or a conditional certificate of compliance has to be issued before we can record the deed. So that's put the task on the title company to say, yes, this property has everything it needs before we record this deed. We're removing the liability from buyers, sellers, the city, because we don't want someone to come back and say, well, I didn't know about this. Why did you let me close? Why did you record this? It also shows, and it's no surprise, because another situation came to light. You know, the city commission voted unanimously to approve amendments to the city's vacant buildings ordinance, and those changes went into effect on November 5th, 2024. A current city commissioner with vacant properties, one of them, they only started the required registration and inspection with the city in May of 2025 after a resident inquiry brought this to light, and it's now registered as a rental property. So it took this commissioner 190 days to take personal action to comply with an ordinance, much like the point of sale, that you deem necessary and critical to the betterment of our city. So either that commissioner did not fully grasp the ordinance they voted to approve, which we're seeing now with the point of sale discussion, or they understood it completely and chose not to comply. But either way, this is not a very principled way of operating and is an example of the lack of transparency and accountability residents are growing increasingly frustrated with. Our community deserves leaders who lead by example, and I'm grateful for the chance to share this during public comment because I believe residents deserve all the information necessary to make an informed decision when voting for their city commissioners. Thank you.
Tom Fallhaber, 419 Budlong Street. I've got a comment about something different that I've been observing going on in this city for a while. There's an increased level of people that are homeless, that are roaming the streets here. Day after day, the problem is getting markedly worse. I've lived in this city for 73 years. Things I'm seeing today, I wouldn't have dreamed of seeing 30, 40 years ago, even more recently. I'm shocked by it. I'm hearing from two different sources that are very credible that people are being being imported into this city from other areas that are occupying this homeless shelter on West Maumee Street. I got it from two people that are very, very knowledgeable what's going on around here. They share things with me. And I had an interesting conversation with another gentleman last night about this. We've got a 24% poverty rate in this city, 3 times the national average. It's 8% nationally. What we have here is typical of Michigan. Michigan's larger cities like Adrian have poverty rates generally 25 to 45%. It's well above the national average. This is what's happened to this state over the last 30, 40 years ago. And honestly, when I was a kid, this state was a proud place to be. Things going on here didn't go on here years ago. It breaks my heart because like I said earlier, I love this city. When things don't go well here, I take it hard. I'm tired of seeing these people riding around on bicycles all day long and people that just don't appear to belong here. They appear to be disoriented. If you're not noticing it, then you better open your eyes and look around because there's lots of people that talk to me because I served where you are for 11 years. I sat up here in this city commission, in this chamber, and at the old city hall on Church Street. I've been around this place a long time, and I've studied this city extensively. My knowledge level here is at the top of the heap, and I know what's going on around here. And I'm telling you, that homeless shelter, share the warmth. It's no comment against you, Commissioner, because I know you were director. You've been nothing against you. And my comments about the trees earlier I meant to mention about Mr. Davies, that my comments were not against you either, because you weren't around you were after the fact for my tree planting program or volunteer organization. But I admonish you to do something. And I know the police, they've got plenty of problems to deal with. And you know, Commissioner Emmerich, Chief Emmerich knows that as well as anybody, but I just hope and pray something gets done about this, because if you don't see it, like I said, take a look. It's not bringing people into Adrian. People, young families, people that want to move here, that are good professional people, they drive around here for an hour and see some of the things I'm seeing. I'm telling you, would they want to move here? I don't know. I question whether they would. Thank you.
My name is Lisa Hewitt-Cruz, Community Development Director for the City of Adrian, and I'm here tonight on behalf of the Community Development Department to thank Vince Emmerich for his service to the City of Adrian as Acting City Administrator. You've served our city with dedication, integrity, and strong leadership. Thank you for your support of all aspects of our division. Thank you for hiring me. We appreciate your hard work and support, and we are presenting you with a special gift from our division. In this box, along with the certificate, is a flag that was flown over the United States Capitol in Washington, D.C. And may this flag serve as a lasting reminder of the deep gratitude this community holds for your leadership and contributions, both as police chief and as acting city administrator. And on behalf of the community development team, we thank you, wish you all the best as you transition back to full-time in this building, but I think you've already left. It's okay, to your police chief role, and happy birthday.
I should have gone first because I don't have a gift, but Aaron Cheshire, City of Adrian resident. I wanted to use my time during public comment to thank Chief Emmerich for everything he's done while serving as city administrator. He hasn't just been filling his seat; he's been leading, guiding, and delivering on expectations as a full administrator. Chief, you went above and beyond what anyone could have asked for in a temporary role. You didn't just keep things running, you made sure the work of the city kept moving forward, and you set a very high standard for what good leadership looks like. This past summer was very rough for a lot of residents, and Chief was a big reason why people kept faith in our local government. We had an admin that was willing to listen and ease our hearts and minds during such a tough time. On behalf of myself, and I think everybody here, thank you for stepping up and for serving our community so well, and for setting us up for success moving forward. You've gone beyond the call of duty, and we're grateful. At the very least, you deserve the award.
At this time, we will open it up to the Zoom participants. Hearing no more public comment. Commissioners, there are miscellaneous reports and minutes in your packet. Are there any questions or comments? All right, we will move on to commissioner comments. I have to say, Lisa, if we had known, alls we gave them was a proclamation and some gag gifts up here, just so you know. So you made us look bad. No, I'm just kidding. But thanks again. I know we can't say it enough, but we greatly appreciate your service to the city and to the community and to us. You are greatly appreciated, Vince. And I also want to remind you that Artalicious, the streets will be closed this weekend downtown. Artalicious will be here this weekend, and we're very excited. We hope that you will come down. It's always an amazing event. The committee, Don Taylor heading that up, they've just, I can't remember how many years he said it had been 11. I don't know. He told us the other day, but I forgot. But it is just an amazing time, and to celebrate the arts and celebrate everything that our community has, and just really encourage everybody to come downtown to Artalicious this weekend. Any other comments?
Yep, I've got a list, so Bob, if you want to go first.
Just a few announcements. So as former Commissioner Fall Haber mentioned about poverty issues and concerns, The concern always for a good holiday and Christmas season for kids in Adrian and Lenawee is central to Toys for Tots. The kickoff for this year's Toys for Tots campaign for Lenawee County takes place on October 3rd out at the fairgrounds. We do have some Marines and vehicle that will be participating in that car show. On another note, I have been teaching a class on the Holocaust to 30 residents of Lenawee County for the past couple weeks. And I'll send the invite to the members of the commission, but we were able to secure a Holocaust survivor. She's going to come down and speak to the class. She was in Bergen-Belsen and met Anne Frank in her final days. As a 15-year-old was traded in a POW exchange. She was shipped to Switzerland where her father died next to her and was left on a park bench in Germany. And as a 15-year-old was then displaced to a displaced persons camp in North Africa, all at the age of 15. So when you talk about perseverance and the story that she has to earn her doctorate from Duke and then teach at the University of Michigan in economics is pretty amazing. So she's agreed to come down and speak to our community on that message of hope.
Bear with me, there's a list, and there's a lot of things going on in our community. So I want you to be aware if you're not aware. Tomorrow from 9 to 11 a.m. at the Line Center, the Community Mental Health Agency is having an open forum. They're going to discuss their funding and what the new changes are going to go into effect and how that's going to affect mental health in our community. So tomorrow from 9 to 11 at Align Center. On Wednesday, the 17th, the Consumers Energy is going to have a meeting at the Align Center from 4 to 6:30. And I don't know if you got your bill, but I know I did today, and it said my monthly bill is going up. My monthly amount is going up, and I don't know why. So we have fewer people in my house, so I will likely be there to find out why and what can be done for homeowners. So it's nice that Consumers Energy is doing this. So it's here in town at 4 o'clock. Thursday is Third Thursdays. There's going to be axe throwing on Thursday downtown. Friday, don't forget the Christmas trees for Comstock are going on sale at 8 a.m. $70, I believe. And remember, it is not a memorial. It is not a memorial park. So just keep that in mind. Friday night, also, we have Taste of Lenawee at the Armory from 6 to 9. Those funds are for, they go to launch Lenawee. And so it's a great fundraiser if you're interested and available. Also, Friday night, AMVETS is going to have a POW MIA memorial at 7 o'clock at Monument Park. So you've got a lot going on this week. The county is going to have their quarterly evening meeting at 6 o'clock next Thursday. So on September 25th at 6 o'clock. So if you can't make their meetings during the day, you are able to come at night. And also downtown trick-or-treating is scheduled for October 25th. So I know that's a big deal for a lot of people. Now, also going into the county, I was at the meeting last week, and they have put out a waste management PDF, a QA or, Q&A thing that we shared in our weekly update. If you have not seen the county's waste management information sheet, I think it's very informative, very helpful. It gives you where to drop off styrofoam. It gives you phone numbers. It gives you, if you have this, you can do this. If you have this, you can do that. It's the person putting it together did a great job. And so that's really, really wonderful. The DDA has put together a program to recognize our veterans. And Jacob, it's okay if I speak to this? Okay, so if you haven't seen these, I've seen these at many, many other communities. This is a hometown hero. So if you have a veteran in your family or just know a veteran, you would be able to purchase a banner, and these banners will be up downtown 3 different times during the year. And I believe, let's see, the banners cost $125. I assume there's a limited amount because we only have a number of banner areas to put those. So if you have any questions, I have more information on that if you're interested in having a banner. I've seen these at many other communities and oftentimes thought this would be a really cool thing to do in Adrian. And so I'm glad to see that the DDA is taking that on. Also, to echo Jacob Cooper's information about Dusty Steele, I'm grateful that Dusty stepped in during in the DDA when it was a time of discord. I attended those meetings. I've been attending them for up to about 12 years now. And before he stepped in, it wasn't pretty. And when Dusty came, he brought integrity and patience and ethics. And I really appreciate his leadership. I'd like to thank, I think it's Lisa or Matt, I'm not sure which one, but whoever is in charge of getting sidewalks repaired for the first time in years in the city, as a walker runner, I've noticed the sidewalks being repaired and it's amazing. I'm just thrilled that we're finally getting some sidewalks done. The last thing is I will respond to a citizen concern not to have any more marijuana businesses in town. My understanding is that the sale of this Flourish is now Northwoods, so it is not a new one. It's one that went out of business and now is being brought back into business. So that helps the city. That helps with our marijuana money. Actually, when Flourish closed, it's one of the things I came to Chief Emmerich about was, what do we have in there for our marijuana funds for this year? Because it's going to go down. We receive money based on how many growers, how many open facilities, how many things we have, how many marijuana licenses we have in town. So now to have one that has 3 more licenses, that's only going to increase our income. Well, actually bring it back to the level of when Flourish closed. So I'm grateful that a company is coming in and they're going to take a property that is not in use right now and bring it back to have jobs in the community, and we will get some tax dollars out of it. So, thank you.
Commissioner Roberts, question.
Yeah.
I heard you say Friday with the trees, so I don't know if I misheard, but it's Wednesday, I believe. So I just
Apologize. Wednesday, I did say
Okay.
Friday.
Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. online
Okay.
and in person.
My sincere apologies. I wrote Friday for some reason. Okay, Wednesday.
And, we've been talking about Vince a lot tonight, but welcome, Chad. The next meeting, you will be up here. Thank you for attending tonight. We're very excited to have you taking over the reins. I know Vince is extremely excited about that. I do want to let you know that there will be a community meet and greet. Mark Murray from the Adrian Armory offered to have a meet and greet if Chad wanted it, and Chad did want it. He probably emailed me while I've been in this long meeting with the date. It will be next week, either Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. I don't know when. We will put it out though. We'll make sure that it's advertised out there. But it's going to be from 4 to 5:30, one of the days next week, either Tuesday through Friday. Chad was open to all of them, and so it was up to Mark Murray at Adrian Armory of when he wanted to do that, but he wanted to open that up so that people could meet our new city administrator at the meet and greet. So we will get that out as soon as we find out when, and thank you to the Adrian Armory for being willing to open up for Chad to meet people in the community, and we hope people will come out to meet him, and we're very excited to have you on board. Thank you. May I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, we'll take the motion from Castleberry, and Miller, you can get the support. How's that? All in favor, say aye.